It's
Philip.
time for the Danny Kadota Show.
Hey, I'm ready.
Are you really?
Yeah, this year looks like we're already off the bang.
Michael!
And speaking of which,
Go
Mike,
get back there with.
let's show him. He's already on it. He's already on it. Okay.
Nice
Phil,
going,
you're gonna
Michael.
put the over and under on these?
Oh, yeah, we got an over and under of 6. 6 fish. How's that sound, Danny?
That's awesome.
How's everything, man?
Everything's good.
Yeah?
New Year's starting out great. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
The new year, heck, it's February.
Still a little bit
Just
behind.
about,
A little bit behind, you're right.
I can't believe it, man. Can you?
No. I mean, and that fishing down below is continuing on. There's good fishing everywhere.
Yeah, long range has been fantastic. The boys went out and looked at that 70-mile bluefin, and that didn't pan out that well. But, hey, it's a little early for that, right?
Yep.
How's everything going with Gail and your family? Everybody
Everybody's
good?
Everybody's healthy. It's great. Yeah, the grandkids are on fire. It's perfect.
You know, we've got this whole thing coming up here shortly, Danny, about the no take on sand bass. And I know your strong opinions about stuff like that. It is a possibility that they're going to do that. Of course, there's still the public meeting that's going to take place up in Sacramento. CCA is working hard to try to make sure that we can still take sand bass. Hopefully that's going to happen, but kind of scary for the sport boat guys because that's a big part of their income.
You know, and it's not just that. That's like the perfect fish that you start kids off with.
There you go.
You know, and it's, I could see reducing the limit down half or the 5 fish, something like that, or whatever it might be. But, they're pretty prolific.
Yeah.
And they're pretty hardy fish, and they'll make a comeback. And I don't know that anybody commercial fishes them, so I don't think they're getting hurt there.
Yeah. I don't think they do, right?
And-
Unless you're talking Mexico.
And I think in the past, I gave a thing on the radio with you here about how Iser and I got called up to Santa Barbara, with the UC Santa Barbara researchers, and they were closing down the sand bass up in the Channel Islands, and we were going, well, what's the criteria for that? And the thing was, he says, well, they're getting depleted.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we said, and Russ said, well, what time of year are you doing the studies? Well, in the fall. He says, well, that's pretty stupid because in the fall they're already migrating back south to Mexico.
Yeah, I mean.
So, there's a lot of things. And that's the problem I've always had with a lot of fishing game in the past is that they don't have, a lot of guys, the hands-on fishermen that have those understandings.
Yeah.
And to make legislation on that, not having that background and experience, it torqued Russ a lot. And I mean, I learned from him. I kind of carry it on, and he would absolutely flat out say in a hearing, well, that's stupid. So now I do that. But, it is. I mean, to have researchers, and we're seeing this throughout, not just in fishing. We see these on fire decisions on our watershed and this and that.
Yeah.
About the smelt, about emptying these reservoirs out for smelt that are rarely exist, or in the case of casitas, they said stillhead, which never existed, and we all know that those 4 trout that they had that they called the stillhead probably came out of the Fillmore hatchery, which is only a couple miles away from casitas.
Yeah.
So some of the things that have been, enacted, in the past were absolutely phony.
Yeah.
And so I don't buy it. I will fight that.
Yeah.
Because absolutely there's no proof of what they're doing. But, they're doing that to these biologists at like UC Santa Barbara and these places are generating grant money for studies.
Yeah.
But, at our expense. And I don't buy that. And, Russ was a fighter, and if push comes to shove, I'm going to start fighting like he did.
Yeah.
But don't have to fight much. You just speak the truth. And having that experience and time on the water, all of us will understand that. And we know that sand bass in our industry, as a fish to get a young kid involved, or even an adult that hasn't fished before.
Yeah.
You get them out on a half-day boat or a night trip, or,
Yeah.
or something like that. You get them hooked, and that's one fish that has hooked and started a lot of people into this industry.
Yes.
So that's It's an important fish. And yeah, if they have a study that is done correctly, if I could understand it. I will respect those, those calls. But in the past, I've lost most of my confidence in the studies that they've done, the biologists, because it's based on them wanting to get grant money. So it has nothing to do with our industry. And I'm the opposite. I'm thinking about our industry and our future and fishermen coming up, because that's the fish that elevates everybody to the next level.
Yeah.
Fish, surface fish for barracuda and bonita, and then yellowtail, and then tuna down south. And it's the starter. It's a kickoff with the sand bass. So
Jim Hendricks from CCA was saying
Yeah.
that they haven't done a stock assessment on sand bass for years and years and years. What it's mostly based on is what landings are reporting. Like for the last 10 years, they've been reporting far less sand bass. So he made these points, which I think are really good points. See what you think. First of all, they increased the size limit and the take on down to 5 on the sand bass. So of course there's going to be less being reported because now you're throwing
Yeah.
back the 12-inch ones that you were catching
Right.
in the previous decade. And he said offshore fishing has been so good that there's not all that many guys catching sand bass
Not much
anymore.
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that could explain it. And of course, you and I both know that oceanography plays a huge part in this, whether the water's too warm, too cold,
absolutely.
bait availability, all of
Yeah.
this stuff.
And in time, for as many years as we've fished, we just find that a lot of it's just cycles. Biologists don't control it. Mother Nature is dictating what goes on here.
Yeah.
And neither we or the biologists have control of that. So, for them to make the studies, and go by what they say, I don't buy it at all. I think if they're going to do anything, if they had an even mix of opinions and from the fishermen and your biologists, then now you're talking. But I would not put it in the hands of the biologists.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
seen what they've done in the past, and I don't trust them.
Well, but you did say that if you saw a legit study, something where they really did it right, you could accept that kind of a thing. But
Yeah.
you don't see that, right?
No, and I think you and I just talked a little while ago. I went up years and years ago when they were going to shut down the sand bass fishing up in the Channel Islands.
Yeah.
And put like a zero limit on it and everything. And Russ Iser calls me up and says, "Hey, you got to come with me. We got to go up to Santa Barbara to hearing, where the biologists were talking about how the sand bass are depleted and everything." And then one of the first things Russ asked is, "What time of year were the surveys being done?" And it was in the fall. And he says, "Well, that makes sense that they're depleted because they're already on their way back down to Mexico. They spawn way down. What was that? Abrios down that way."
Yeah.
And they come up the line. And I can remember going down in June, and not much was going offshore, so we'd have to run down, down the coast to fish the sand bass and bonita and hopefully some tails and barracuda, But we get down there, just huge clouds of sand bass, and you see them coming up the line, from Tijuana to San Diego to Mission Bay. I mean, just as they walked up the coast.
To the Channel Islands. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, we as fishermen, we recognize that. But when you have a biologist that's very young, has no time on the water, that was one of the things that Russ and I questioned their credibility as far as time in the water. And they had no actual time on the water. They're doing these studies, for the school, for the University of California. I said, well, that explains it. You really have no understanding of what goes on. So, unfortunately, a lot of things are dealt, in that regard, by that. And Russ would I loved Russ because he would go, well, you guys are stupid. And I'd be biting right through my tongue. But I loved, he was right, And now I'm pretty much carrying on Russ's ways.
You get
I'm
a
not
little
filtered
older
anymore.
too, right?
Oh yeah,
Your filter
I
kind
said,
of
"Hey,
goes
I'm
away
not-
a little
yeah,
bit.
The filter goes away, and I'm calling it spade a spade. This is it, Yeah.
Hey, you're watching the Danny Kadota Show here from our home base of 22nd Street Landing. Michael Limon is out there fishing. His over and under is 6 fish. He's caught 1 so far. Every time Michael catches a fish out there on the docks, he'll run up and show it to all of you so you can participate along with us. You want to read a couple of comments that are coming in?
Let's
Quite
go.
a few people here with us already. Mitchell, Halibut Man says, I think Mike is going to slay those buttermouth. Glad to see you are feeling better, Phil. Thank you so much, Mitchell. As I cough right on cue.
Perfect.
Mackie says, Danny, are we going to see you at the Hall Show starting Thursday through Sunday?
My God. Let me check. I will definitely try to get over there for sure.
Yeah,
I've
you
got
got
to
to come over.
go see Bart and we do all the shows. Equal representation with all the shows. And
Yeah, and
to
plus,
see everybody. Yeah.
don't you take your grandkids to the
That's
trout
the
pond?
thing. Absolutely.
I mean, how long have you been doing that?
Forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good times, right?
Yeah. Oh my God! It gets to get them so excited that that's what it takes to jumpstart. And then from there, you gravitate into like Santa Ana River Lakes or Irvine. We used to go to Irvine quite a bit back in the day. But
Yeah.
But this is how you get them jump started.
Yeah, heck
it's
yeah.
easy. It's an easy day. It's not an overnight, ride on a boat that we're riding for hours and hours to get out the grounds and it's simple and the mechanics, fishing ultralight line and getting them to get their mechanics as far as lifting and winding, lifting and getting their timing and things like that. Well, it's just a good way to start. I mean, I can remember we didn't have those. We had the Sierras, but that's a great fish to start off with.
Yeah, heck yeah. David Rosenthal. Hey, David, the man who won the fishing rod on Tackle Shop Confessions. And, of course, he's got the SoCal Long Range Facebook page, which is great. Angle R pliers, which are fantastic. He just wanted to send his best to you and say hello. Robert Graber up there in the Channel Islands says, good afternoon, Phil, Danny, and the Friedman Adventures family. Happy Monday, wahoo! And Robert says, let's go, Danny. Get in the fight and help squash this sand bass proposal. Thank you for your help, Robert says to you.
Absolutely. Then that it's just over time. I'm not pulling any punches anymore. I just, it wore off from, watching Russ Iser and seeing, his predictions and what he said. They were all true. But, nobody had more time on the water and experience than Russ. And I was blessed to be around him. And I've gotten to a point now where I'm older and crankier and everything. And I don't have a problem speaking my mind.
Yeah, I loved Russ, man. Now, this is weird because, when they did part of his funeral, we went out on a boat, and I was asked to actually narrate that. And we were probably on the same boat, but I don't remember, it might have been before we got together, right? Yeah.
It was.
You were probably very sad.
You know what was fun is Russ and I would sit we used to go up to KIEV.
Yeah.
But we had a radio show for a little over half a year.
Yeah.
And we were broadcasting every week. And it was so much fun. And I got to tell you, Russ lived in Gardena, and I'm here in Pedro. So I would pick him up. And I would pick him up for 2 reasons. He was getting a little older, and the driving was. The other part was he was sauced by the time I got to his house. And that's why I loved it.
No wonder those were such great shows.
And he never pulled a punch. It just flowed, And so you got him. You got the real Russ, and that was the best.
He had a couple pops and let it all hang out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was fired. He was ready by the time we got to the studio.
There was an old sportscaster named Bud Frillo. And his nickname was the Steamer, and I did radio with him. And now Bud's gone, so I can tell the story that he used to have a few pops too. Actually, kind of almost like during the show, wink, wink. Yeah, man, you got the real Bud and the real Bud and the real Russ.
Yeah,
man, those are really fun times.
Oh, and the neat part was he was still sharp as a tack, Phil.
Oh yeah,
he had his facts, he had everything down. And because he was a little bit juiced up, the anger came out and he had the emotions coming out, and I thought that was even better, because it had a stronger impact.
Yeah.
It showed that he cared. And he was right. As we look back, he was absolutely right about all that stuff.
That is so funny. Good stuff. All right. Hey, a reminder that we're giving away a couple free fishing rods over there on Tackle Shop Confessions tonight. There is still time. 540 slingers. That is our dear friend Jeff Yeomans. Thank you for your service. Jeff, you are the man. Good afternoon, Danny and Phil, one of our Navy veterans, a great
that's
guy.
awesome. Awesome. You guys are the best.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you for your
being-
service.
Thank
There's
you,
no
Jeff.
doubt about it.
Isaac, a U.S. Marine, if I remember. Good evening, gentlemen. I think the cold weather is going to put Michael on the under. And so far, and you made that prediction a little while ago, that seems to be holding up pretty good, Isaac. If you don't know what we're talking about, Michael Limon's out on the docks fishing. He's got one fish so far. We put the over-under at 6. So to go over, he's going to have to catch 7, which, unless he gets going here pretty soon, he's going to be under. Isaac might be right. Omar Hernandez, Lake Poway Youth Fishing Derby this Saturday. All right, if you want to send us a few more details that I can read, Omar, it would be our pleasure to do so. And I assume that you're involved in that, and I thank you for getting kids involved in the great outdoors. Nothing could be better for them,
No,
Danny.
nothing. They kept me out of trouble. That's it. And I'll tell you, that was a great deal. A big deal.
You mean it was a hard thing to accomplish,
Yeah,
keeping
well,
you out of
that
trouble?
I got tired of my dad's belt, too. You know?
What kind of trouble did you get? You were probably just mischievous,
Well,
right?
I got into a lot of fights, and
Yeah.
I had a temper, you know. And yeah, so I found out he found the best way to cure that, the humility part, put me in judo, and found out you're not so tough. You got an 80-year-old guy throwing you like you're a piece of paper, like a paperweight. You go, doom, doom, bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam. And you go, oh. So you'd sneak in, try to sneak in, and he'd come here, and I go, oh, great, ba-bam, ba-bam, ba-bam. So you learn humility after a point, but it also helped because that also helped with leverage and everything. So when I later on playing football and everything, that was implemented in my play. Yeah.
So I'm guessing the fights you were in, just guessing, you're not the kind of guy that's going to go pick on somebody. If somebody challenged you, there was no way you're going to back down.
No.
Is that it?
No, that was it. And
Yeah.
then there was actually some, I'm not going to say racism, but they would call us like a Japs or something.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And,
Sounds racist.
And our parents spent time in camps and grandparents, and so it was very easy for me to ramp it up. And at that point, I don't feel any pain.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty...
Was there a lot of racism?
No, not a lot.
But
But we
every
get it
once in a while.
sometimes going to the beach, But the best part was then we'd play football against them and get to really put the wood. to
Yeah,
it.
there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, I had that same thing going on in my youth. Same thing. I fought a
Yeah.
lot. Just
Yeah.
I didn't care how big the guy was, and I got my jaw almost broken once by this guy that was way too big for me. But same thing. It's funny you talk about the racism thing. Not funny, but my dad. So my dad's long gone, but he used to tell me that, you know what they used to call him once in a while? He was an Irish Catholic kid, a mackerel snapper, because Catholics eat meat on,
Yeah.
or eat fish on Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you never, that's so ancient now. But I remember my dad saying, yeah, they used to call me a mackerel snapper, and I used to I wouldn't back down,
And there's a time, and then you grow out of it.
Yeah.
You grow out of it. So it's funny because the kids now you don't see them experiencing any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Anymore. Yeah. So, and I don't know if it's good or bad. Well, hard to say. It was a different time.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
For sure. All right. Hey, Chuck Zimmer, the
Hey.
presidente of the Redondo Rod and Gun Club, but also the head man with his son Charlie, who will soon take over of Z Custom Fishing Rods. He says, hey, Danny, I am loving the show.
Hey, Chuck.
Do you have any of your rods in blank form? I would love to wrap a few of those.
I can get a hold of him. Brad, he's got it. He's
Yeah.
got it, all the inventory over there. Yeah. Let me know. There's some dandies. There's some real dandies, like that 30-pound blank that we fished on the Freedom.
Yeah.
It's a super light rod, but it killed those 60 to almost 100-pound type fish.
Yeah.
And then I use that same blank down at Bay of LA for Cabria. So, you build one of those, and we'll show you some of the way that Brad does it with the graphite handles. They don't weigh anything.
Yeah.
They're about a third or a quarter of the weight of most of the rods.
That's
so
amazing,
it's
isn't it?
amazing.
How light
so
they
all
are?
that energy goes into the lift and not recovering its own weight. So,
Yeah. Man,
You'll love it, and Chuck will understand it being a rod builder.
yeah. Chuck's doing just beautiful work. He's been wrapping
yeah.
rods for, I think, 3 months or something, and his work is so good. In fact, we're
That's
giving
awesome.
away one of his rods, 2 of his rods tonight on
cool.
Tackle Shop Confession. So, I mean, they are beautiful. We're going to have to get one of those.
Oh, awesome.
Roger Massage, tons of questions, lots of people watching. Danny, loving your show. They see us smiling and catching fish. They want to cut our wings. He's talking about the sand bass. You know, people are having a good time out there and enjoying the ocean's environment. I wonder how much of that is really part of it.
And let me tell you something. Let's be truthful. Phil, if you're going to eat a fish, I mean, a sand bass, yeah, obviously it's edible, you know, but we're a little spoiled.
Yeah.
You know,
I
we
eat
want
sand
calicos,
bass.
things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I won't kill them because I'm not going to, you know, I'll give them away.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's still a great fish to get people started with.
Heck
Because
yeah.
it's very easily catchable. It's not as crafty as, say, a calico. It's
Yeah.
a little more difficult. You know, there's a little more that you have to implement in your technique and your tackle to really get a calico over the sand bass for the most part. So, but it's a great starter fish. I don't know if any are better than sand bass to get people going, you know.
Yeah, I would say almost better than a bonito. A bonito's another gateway fish, but they're a little more difficult. A sand bass,
You got to be able to fly
it's
land
almost like
anchovy.
catching a rock cod in a way, you
right,
know?
Right. So it's a starter fish. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great starter fish.
Yep,
Yeah.
100%. Hey, Omar is back with some details on that youth fishing derby. Omar, thank you for doing that, my friend. The youth fishing derby will be at Lake Poway. Kids fish for free from 6 a.m. to the final weigh-in at 12 noon. There will be fun and games and prizes, a bounce house. God, Omar, you're talking me into going. And a free hot dog lunch, stocked trout. Lake Poway. Go find Omar and thank him for bringing this to all of our attention. If you have any kids out there, Danny, this is the kind of event. How can you beat this?
Is the city of San Diego sponsored that? Is that
I'm
where it's
not
coming
sure
from?
about that.
I mean,
but
what a phenomenal deal.
Yeah, right?
You would think that we could do that up here in LA somewhere, Orange County, you know. That would be a great thing. But we had some great starter lakes like Irvine and places that were, and it still is. You know, there's a lot of the put and take and even the pay for lakes, but, you know, to do that at a public lake and get these kids involved and,
Yeah.
you know, fishing game, throwing in several 100,000 pounds of, you know, rainbows to get these kids hooked on fishing, it's well worth it. I mean,
Awesome.
it's well worth it.
Awesome. Omar, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. And if you see a guy with a big white mustache, when I said the bounce thing, the bounce house, Dan Lightfoot got really excited. So if you see him down there, throw him out of there. He has no business being in there. Kim Herbert from Missouri says, greetings, gentlemen. As I live out of state, I'm looking to plan my visits on the water. Should I look early, middle, or later in the tuna season? Best availability is slowly filling up. I'll let Danny. I like the fall myself. I think the fall is
the
great.
fall is usually the best.
Yeah.
The fish are usually as high up as they're going to come, so they're closer. The crowds are lighter, and those are the fall bites. I agree.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. you know.
And you have less boats on the water. You have
Yeah.
enough boats so that you can keep track of the fish. There's enough coverage, but there's not so many boats that it becomes an issue about boat traffic and pressure.
And then some knuckleheads like us, we'll go tomorrow. I mean,
Yeah.
you hear fish down in San Diego now, we're out. You
Yeah.
know? And there's a certain amount of that. And it's a little more fishing. It's fishing. It's not catching. You're not guaranteed anything, but, you know, just to get out there early and get some of those early ones is also kind of a little badge of honor that you have, too. So,
Another thing, best weather months are in the fall.
yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, for sure.
And one other thing, Kim, I think Danny would agree with me. I like to book my trips on weekdays and stay away from those weekends if you can. It'll obviously,
Absolutely,
right?
for me, too.
Yeah.
For me, too. I'll
Yep.
take the weekdays anytime.
Yep. Fish have a calendar, Kim. They watch Monday through Friday. We're going to bite Saturday, Sunday, not so much. Too much boat pressure on the weekend, obviously. So that's why Danny and I are in agreement on that. Chuck Zimmer has obviously paid David Rosenthal off Chuck did an amazing job on the rod I won, wrapping that rod.
That's
so
awesome.
he does.
I got to see Chuck's
I'm only
stuff.
kidding.
I got to see your work, Chuck.
Man, you do. He's really good. Chuck's back. He says, "Give me a call, Danny. I'd love to work something out."
I'll get you some blanks.
Yeah.
Chuck.
If Chuck's a good boy, I'll give you his phone number.
No,
tonight.
good deal.
Yeah. We'll see how he behaves. Israel de la Cruz. Israel, it's great to see you. In fact, Israel, I think you won some dikes last week or something like that. Maybe the rod this week. He says Lake Poway does that event every single year. Every single year.
Awesome.
The hot dogs for the kids.
That is so cool.
Everything else. Man, what is today? It's Monday. Heck, I got time. I'd love to get somebody from Lake Poway and do a little kind of Zoom podcast with them, Israel. So I'll have to see if I can follow up and figure out who it is that's doing that. Remind me if I forget with all these shows I'm doing today. I definitely want to do that. So we mentioned that the guys went out. There was some spotter plane information, and Max on the Pacific Voyager went out, saw a little bit of fish, but covered a lot of water for nothing. And then same thing over there. I think on the Old Glory, he had one fish, hooked a few, but overall it was pretty slow. Today, I talked to a Pongero out of what's the name of the place? Popotla, which is just south of Rosarito. Sent me a photo. He had one bluefin on his Ponga. So he's fishing somewhere. I mean,
He's in a Ponga.
He's not that far. He's somewhere
not, yeah.
between there and the Coronado Islands, or maybe down toward Ensenada a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it sounded like they had a big fish down there. K&M Sportfishing reporting a fish that they estimated to be up over 100 pounds out of San Quintin. So there's these little bits of fish showing up, Danny. Do you think it's too early, or do you think it's a lack of coverage, or is it so fluid and volatile it could erupt at any moment?
I had a friend that we used to charter with him a long time ago, and his explanation was, the fish will be where they want to be, and so and the other one was, they are where you find them, and you think, oh, what a smart aleck, but you know what? In many respects, it's
That's true.
It is true.
Yeah.
So just being at the right place, right time. And you don't know unless you're out there, unless you're trying. I mean, there's times, you think you're going on a hot bite, the counts are up and everything else, and it's a down day. And there's times when you're doing exploratory and there's nothing guaranteed at all, and you're in one stop and you're done. So it's fishing, it's not catching. And so that's part of the challenge. It's obviously it's a great deal when you have a one stopper and you're done, but that's part of the challenge in it too.
Yeah.
And going into the bite, Phil, and you know how I am too. It's assessing the bite. What do I have to do to get bit? You get when you're around better fishermen, chances are you want to up your odds. Probably have to drop down in hook size, line size a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to do, or you play around with your hook placement on the baits. Trust me, I mean, I was going 90 miles an hour when we had the captain's trip with all the guys on the Freedom, because you got 30 captains on the boat. So, it's going to bring out that, your mindset. What do I do? What do I do? So you start trying different hook placements, this and that. And that's what it took.
Yes.
That's what it took. And then once you dial it in, it's pretty much every cast.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. Good stuff. Roger Massage says, do you think we'll be able to keep more vermilion rockfish this year? They are great for fish tacos. Oh my God, there's nothing better eating than a vermilion. You feel that way. I know that, man. They are such great eating fish.
It's so funny. We usually finish off our last day.
Yeah.
Rock cutting. I mean, because there's no pressure and we'll just goof around.
You talking about on the angler?
On the angler.
Yeah.
So this last time we were out, Ray put us on solid reds. Solid reds.
Big ones?
Except me.
Oh.
I dropped down between all these guys, just two at a time, right? You don't use the two hooks. Two at a time. Two reds. I bring up two slimies. Salmon
Two
group.
salmon group.
Salmon group.
Yeah.
Then I moved down. It was such a joke. I would cut in front of my friends. And I said, move over. I sneak in there and I drop it right where they just brought out two reds. Reds. I get the salmon group in. I mean, it got to be comical.
That's funny.
Okay, Mike. He's on
We're up to two
number
fish.
Two, Mike.
Michael Limon, 2 fish.
Woo!
Little sand bass. Michael, good job, buddy. All right, we're up to 2. If you're just joining us, the over-under on Michael Limon today is 6 fish. He's up to 2 now, and we've got about 20 more minutes to go here, 25 more minutes to go. So we'll see. Isaac said under. I don't know if you want to put up your guess. So Roger's question was, do you think we'll be able to keep more? I doubt it, right? They're going to keep that.
You know what? Yeah, you really figure out, we're coming out. That was done on a long range trip, and it's just a topper. It's just a bonus.
Yeah.
And we're not in it for the meat, and we've already had a tremendous yellowtail bite and yellowfin bite that trip. But it was just fun. I think it was more fun for everybody watching me get the salmon grouper and them all catching straight reds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
made their trip, watching the donkey.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I was,
yeah.
yeah. I was a sacrificial lamb.
That's funny. Roger, let's hope so, man. I think we're stuck with that 2 fish right now, but we'll see. I know up there in Ventura on our trips on the Island Spirit, we've had nothing short of phenomenal red fishing to the point where we got to drive away from 'em. Hey, hit that like button or Danny will break into tears. If he doesn't see a lot of likes up there, a lot of people watching, we thank you so much for joining the Danny Kadota Show here at our home base of 22nd Street Landing. Really great to be with you. Kim Herbert is back from Missouri with this observation. He says, I like to book 2 3-day trips back to back. Get off one boat and get on the next. Just trying to get fishing fever taken care of. Kim, I would ask you to contemplate this and see if Danny agrees with me. I would jump on a 6 or 7-day trip instead of 2 3-days. Let's say the fish are at 350 miles. You're not going to fish those on either one of those trips. It's wide open down there at 350.
Yeah.
And you're on a 3-day trip. You're not going there.
Yeah.
You're fishing in some other zone. You're on a 7-day trip.
You're in the
all over that fish.
You're in the land of plenty. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I, with me, we do an 8-dayer. And it gives us the option. I mean, this last year, we ran 2.5 days to get down there. We were only about 150 miles north of Cabo.
Yeah.
But we were done in 2 stops. The first day, excuse me, we got late in the afternoon. We picked a few tails, but it was really weird. It was one of those feelings like they already bit.
Yeah.
We got there late in the afternoon.
Bunch
We
of
wake up
scales.
the next morning, we were done on the tails.
Yeah.
And beautiful tails.
Yeah.
Big, nice quality yellows. And then we moved inside probably 15 miles, and we went bendo on those 50 to 70 pound yellowfin, and we were basically we jugged the wells, So having that option, you couldn't do it on a 3-day if you wanted to, because it takes it took 2.5 days to get down there.
Yeah.
But we were done and ended up just goofing around all the way home. Rock fishing, doing this and that.
So much fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the pressure's off.
Yeah.
We jug the fish holds, and it's just phenomenal. Yeah, so I would opt to what Phil says. Go for the one trip in lieu of the 2 shorter trips.
And you're not
It gives
hauling
you-
your tackle from boat to
Right,
boat
right,
either. You're
right.
on board, man.
Right, and then the other problem that could well arise is your processing. What do? You put your fish in, you're going to come back, and you're still going to have to come back and get it done.
Yeah.
But, you have 2 different batches now, and they're probably done at different times and everything else. If you consolidate it all, I think it helps.
Yeah.
With
And-
logistics is just much better to do that. But it gives you the option of getting to places where you couldn't get
yeah.
on that 2-day trip. Phil hit it on the nose. That's the biggest part of it.
Yeah, very good. All right, Danny and I are in agreement on that. Sarge is joining us. Sarge, good to see you, my friend. Always, always, always so happy to see you here. Mackie says, I think everyone is excited for the return of shallow water rock fishing. That's one thing. When they close down, like we have the Rockfish closure, one thing that it does is it makes people excited for the opener. Whereas you'd just be, Rockfish trip, we've been doing that all year.
Yeah.
When you do it, looking at the glass being half full, it makes you excited for that,
Yeah.
So, definitely. April is when Rockfish opens up here in Southern California. We are closed right now. If you want to fish Rockfish right now, you're going to have to go down into Mexico. You can either drive down there to Popotla, which is a very little known place right below Rosarito. I can tune you all. I'll do a show on that sometime. And then Ensenada and then San Quintin. Or you can jump on a San Diego-based boat who comes out, hangs a left, and goes down into Mexican water. Some guys do it 5 in the morning till 5 in the evening. Other guys are doing day-and-a-half trips down to Colonette, where there's been some really big lings taken. The Tribute, man, they had beautiful big lings on their last trip, Danny. You fished that area before,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yep. There's so much. I mean, there's so much fun fishing when you get down there, and you know, we were always more surface orientated, but you know, there's so much of that that gets overlooked, and it's just great fishing. And generally, when we're done with our tuna and tails and stuff like that, we will do stuff like that just to goof around.
Yeah.
And we laugh just for the laughs. I mean, like I said, you know, we did that finish off our trip, and I was the donkey on the rock cut. I was catching all the salmon group, and there's straight reds coming around me, and the guys couldn't stop laughing. So I was the I was the odd man out. Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Hit that like button. We'll be back at 6 p.m. live from Island Fishing Tqckle with Sam De La Torre. We've got some special guests, and there's a raffle tonight for 2 beautiful custom rods from Z Fishing, Custom Fishing Rods. That's our buddy Chuck Zimmer. They are gorgeous. He does a great job. Halibut Man, that is Mitchell, says, Kim, have you ever thought of going on something long range, which is exactly what we suggested. And Mitchell, you're right on. Alan Rushing. Hey, Alan, how are you? How are the boys? Hey, Phil, Danny, and Robert G. He's just saying hello to everybody. And then Kim is back from Missouri now. He says, I would love to go on the longer trips, but available openings become the problem, just like Phil's 8-day trip is already full. I know, man, our November trip is full. So, yeah, you're just going to have to, when you finally get an opening, man, we would love you to be on ours some year. Once you get your foot in the door, you just got to keep going, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you can't
like-
give up your spot. It's almost
Absolutely.
like season tickets to a sporting event,
Ours are
right?
usually sold out before they get off the boat.
Yeah,
You know, for the next year.
Right.
They already put a commitment down or a deposit or whatever it might be. But yeah. But yeah, you got to get your foot in the door. And but Phil's absolutely right. You know, given the longer trip, you're offered a lot more, you know, options on where you're going to fish and what you can catch, and you know, you get to stay on them at night, and then some of those fish will, but you get to bite them, they'll bite all night.
Yeah.
You know, but there's opportunities that you're going to have on those trips that you won't when you're constrained by time. So, you know, I would opt for the one long as opposed to the 2 short. It gives you an opportunity to get to different areas too that you can't reach, you know, on a 3-day trip, or, you know, or less.
yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, Kim, keep your eyes open. You know, they have some openings that pop up there. In fact, what you might do is if you see like a 6 or 8 day trip during the time period that you want that's full, put your name on the waiting list, you know, and at the same time, I know, Kim, you got to book your 2 or 3 day trips also, or they'll sell out. So, yeah, you are between a rock and a hard spot, but hopefully that will all work out for you. Hey, Jim Hendricks from CCA will be joining us tomorrow to talk about the no-take sand bass possibilities here in Southern California and what it is that you can do to help remedy that situation. So make sure you check back with us tomorrow. Jim Hendricks from CCA. He'll also be talking about how you can win a $75,000 boat this year. So all good stuff with CCA. David Rosenthal says, Kim, do a 10-day trip in the fall. You will not regret it. Get on waiting lists and contact all the boats. Sage advice, David. I mean, same kind of stuff we're talking about. Once you do that,
Yeah, you get spoiled.
you do, right?
You get spoiled.
Are you on that 8-day trip every single year?
Yeah. Yeah. It's in June. Yeah. It's in June, usually late June. But yeah, we do it every year. And we've had for I don't know how many years. You know. But you know, the intent was, you know, I wanted to support Brian because he was one of the kids that worked
Brian
for us.
Kiyahara,
Kiyahara.
who has a reputation as one of the finest captains and best operations all of
Absolutely.
San Diego.
In fact, he's such a good captain. He would come up and they had me go up to the wells and he goes, Danny, what do you think about this? And I said, Brian, I don't know anything. You're the highlighter. You know, in fact, you're putting too much pressure on yourself. Let Ray run the boat. and now Ray's highlighting it. I mean, the whole operation, and it's because he's done everything the right way the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's just neat, and you as a consumer, you'll get these relationships with your boat crews and captains, and that's what makes it too, and it's all good as far as I'm concerned. But obviously I choose to pay back the guys that helped me out.
Yeah.
During my years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, you mentioned American Angler, and man, you're talking about one of the best long range operations anywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's been for. I fished with Danny Sansom when he built the, and it started back then. He and John Collins and all those guys. It was nothing but a great learning experience, and the amount that you learn on those trips, you have to keep your eyes open. There's a lot to learn. I mean, that's probably the biggest blessing is every year you keep your repertoire builds and builds and builds, and before you know it, you start making great choices when you go into a stop on this, when you recognize signs on how these fish are reacting or whatever it is. And so that comes from the experience. But you have to keep that open mind. You have to keep learning and putting it in that computer up there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Danny, the long range group of guys that we have in San Diego as a whole, man, they are so professional. You never, back when I was a kid, being a deckhand on a sport boat or going on a sport boat, you go on a half-day boat or something, and you might say, like, hey, mister, could you help me with this? And like, hey, kid, get lost. I'm busy. You don't get that on these long.
No,
it's the exact opposite. They're so polite.
Yeah.
In fact, you don't have to say, can you help me? They're
They'll
watching.
Yeah.
They're, hey, can I help you with that? And then the food is just another level of insanity.
It's like gourmet restaurant every night.
But you're not
3 times a day, 4 times. Well, there's 5, because there's 2 snacks usually, an hors d'oeuvre time before dinner and one mid breakfast between breakfast and lunch. And I'm lucky if I get 3 in.
Yeah.
If that.
So much food.
There is, and it's phenomenal. And there's always fresh fruit. There's always stuff in the galley all the time. But I mean, it's not what we served when we had our galleys, Phil.
Yeah.
This is all gourmet stuff. I
Yes.
mean, this is it just a whole different level.
That is not, listen, everybody, that is not hyperbole. It is honestly gourmet food. I was on the Independence, and I saw for dinner yellowfin tuna. And I was kind of like, I want prime rib or whatever. I tasted that yellowfin tuna, and I said to myself, this is the best prepared. This is, I'm going for seconds on this. It was
unreal.
so good, Danny.
And you probably still had your prime rib and steak.
I
Usually
probably
one
did.
night,
How'd you know? I'm on the carnivore diet, so I go in there
Yeah.
and I go, hey, I'm the pain in the ass. And they're like, don't worry about it. We got you.
Yep.
So I'm sitting there at breakfast, and guys are eating pancakes, and guess what I get?
Eat steak and eggs.
Piece of prime rib or steak and eggs. So man, I'll tell you, that
They're
was
the best. All those guys.
They
All
really
different.
are.
Yeah, you can't beat the San Diego fleet. I'll tell you.
No.
They're the best in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alan Rushing says, Phil, are you going to be at the Fred Hall show? And I'll include you in on this, Danny, every single day. Are you going to be there every day? So I am planning on being there every day. However, Alan, some of my duties in Mexico call me once in a while. I may have to attend a meeting in Mexico on Friday, but other than that, I'll be there every day. And I may very well be there on Friday. I haven't had time to get back to the people in Mexico that are having a meeting about some stuff that we're working on together. So Friday would be my only day that I would not be there if this thing pops up. Probably grab Mackie, zip down there in the morning to Mexico, and zip right back Friday night. Do the meeting, and then pop back up here. So, and you're not sure what your schedule
I'm
will
not
be
sure,
there,
but
right?
probably take the grandkids.
Yeah.
And I mean, to me, they love that, and I love taking. I want to get them sufficiently hooked.
Yeah, heck
They
yeah.
pretty much are, but yeah.
Once Danny will let me know when he's going to attend, and I'll announce it on the morning briefing. Every single morning, of course, we do the morning briefing, so I'll let you know. All right, Roger Massage says, when are you going back to see the awesome Island Spirit work? Can't wait to hop on and fish with Captain Daniel. He always puts me on the fish Roger, Daniel is one great kid, one great captain. Probably next week sometime. Daniel's going to call me when they're about done, and then I'm going to go down there. Of course, I want to see the boat. And of course, I want to see my friend Daniel, but damn, he took me out for lobster for lunch, and
Oh.
I'm thinking I might get in on that again, you know? Oh my God, that was good. Rockin' Baja Lobster something or other. That was the name of the restaurant. Man, they brought out this platter of food. There was two carne asada steaks. There was two pieces of chicken. There were four lobster tails.
Holy
and there was
smokes.
probably 20 shrimp.
Holy smokes.
Oh my God! Talk about carnivore heaven, baby. Oh, was that good?
I love it, yeah.
That was good stuff.
Yeah.
So, Roger, you got me hungry now, man. But yeah, definitely, I'll let you know. We'll definitely go back there and follow up with Daniel. That was a lot of fun with him. Current Jam. Hey, Current Jam, we've got that raffle going tonight. I don't know if I sent you a notice on that or not, but I know you were saying you ought to do this every week. So we've got another one here tonight. Hello, guys. Glad to see you too. I wonder, is there an auction to purchase fish that people don't want to take home or process? Could be a fun way to sell your fish. Free trip. You can't sell fish in
You
California,
can't.
Current Jam. It is completely against the law. You can't even barter your fish. Like, here, take this fish for a new tire on my car, or whatever.
Yeah.
That is all. You're not allowed to do that. Some states allow that. I think Florida allows you to sell your fish or do whatever. But here in the great state of California,
Did you say Kelly or Kami?
whatever it is,
Yeah.
you can't do that here. So it's a great idea, and I wish you could, but you just can't. Alan Rushing, I was in a random fishing tackle shop in Taiwan, and they had photos and stories of all the San Diego boats. We have the best fishing industry anywhere. That is so cool. In Taiwan, man, they're
Well, it is. It's always set the bar. I mean, and if you look back, think about the tackle. Think about the evolution of tackle. Rods, reels. Look at Carl Newell with the graphite spools allowing us to fly line and taking that and spinning it off into two speeds and this and that. I mean, but it is the hub, but a lot has to do with, in Southern Cal, we have Hollywood, we've got the aerospace industry, we got Disney. You know, we're used to people that are not settling for anything. They're always tweaking and improving.
Yes.
And I mean, I did, even as a kid, you know, putting nail polish around the plastic spool so it wouldn't eat up the line.
Yes.
Because there was a big
I
gap
remember
in
that.
the old pens.
Yeah.
You know, so there's all these little things that over time that we've done, but it's because of our mindsets and the way you should be tuned too is, I mean, you learn more from watching, even on the boat. If a guy's catching fish, watch him. It's not luck. I'm going to tell you, it's not luck.
Nope.
He's doing something right. So, you know, by being an astute angler and watching, you'll pick a lot more up.
Yep.
That's the quickest way to learn.
Yeah, my dad was a little concerned about me once. He overheard me asking my mother for nail polish, and he said,
Dad,
"Geez, you
you
need to
were-
get out on the
you were-
football field,
Yeah.
kid. What's with you?" No, Dad, it's for my fishing reel. Promise. Stephen Clark. Stephen says, "Hey, Phil and Danny, wouldn't you agree 2024 was off year at Catalina for yellows and barracuda?" Yeah, 100%, Stephen. I think it was. There were not a lot of yellows caught at Cat. And Barracuda's been like kind of very difficult for a long time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
When you look back, now we're starting to sound like old farts, but you look back at when you'd have 2-3 months of full speed wide open Barracuda,
Yeah.
and they stayed.
Yeah.
They stayed put.
Yeah.
We don't see that much anymore.
I think it'll cycle in time, though.
Me too.
You know, I think it'll
I do
cycle
too.
in time.
Yeah. Absolutely, Stephen. I think you're right. Alan says, and we have Phil and Danny, the best of Southern California sport fishing, right here with this man, right here. You can keep me out of it. This guy's with all the experience, and I'm so honored that you do a show here with us, Danny.
Oh,
I
you know
really
what? I
am.
love it. You know, it's always to pass everything forward, and it's not me. It's I've been in the place as a captain, as a fisherman, and I've learned more because I watch everybody else around. I had a lot of mentors, and it wasn't me. It was my ability to see why is he catching more fish? Or he's doing this. Why is he doing this? Why is he, and it's your ability to watch and see what they're doing that's going to tweak your game and make you a better fisherman.
Yep.
Just the ability to have that, where you're looking to learn something
Observing.
rather than. And I saw over the years of running boats, I had guys. Well, I did this last year and I killed them. Well, that was last year.
Yeah.
It's different every year.
Yeah.
So you have to, rather than look back and say, what did I do back then? It's what's going on now. Generally, before you walk on the boat, if you've done your homework, you probably have an inkling of what you probably will be doing. But it's doing your homework.
100%.
I didn't do it in school, but when it came to fishing, I did. But that's true. Having that little edge, and then as you like for us, Phil, working within the fleet, we had the blessing. I was tied up with George Meal, and he and I, when we went down I think it was 1981, we went down with the first color West Mars.
Yeah.
Nobody had the sonars.
Right.
All of a sudden, George and and we had the great fishing groups too. Our charters were hot shots, right? They were all hot dogs. And you put them on the spots, and they were giving us the highlining counts daily.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden now everybody wanted to be your friend, and it helped. It actually did help, bring us into working with a lot of the San Diego guys, where we're real good friends with them now. But it happened through evolution and technology, and the next year, a bunch of other boats, and they had West Mars, and they found out, man, now you can't fish without one. You're not in the game.
Yeah.
So it has to do with opening your eyes and watching and learning, having that ability to learn something new every time you go out. Because if you think you know it all, you might as well kiss it goodbye. You're done.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. And it's funny you say it helped to bring the Northern Fleet together with the San Diego Fleet. There was a time when when I was a deckhand in San Diego back in the late 70s, let's say, or 80s, you did not want to be seen next to a Northern boat. You didn't want to be anywhere near those guys, right?
Yeah, till we came down with the two West Mars.
Yeah, there you are.
Smoked everybody.
There you are.
Yeah.
And
And
then
we
all
had
of a
the
sudden,
good groups. Yeah.
yeah, and now, but it's what a different world it is now.
Yeah, it
I
is
mean,
different.
you can be out on the Pursuit, the 3/4 day boat, and see the Royal Polaris off your bow. They've
Isn't it
actually
amazing?
had that happen when that bluefin gets on the backside of
Yeah,
Catalina or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's
Yeah.
an evolving world, and it's exactly what you're pointing out. The world's evolving, and that doesn't exclude sport fishing, and you got to keep up with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff. Current Jam. Only a few minutes left to go here, Danny. The fastest hour in sport fishing podcast, the Danny Kadota Show. How exciting, says Current Jam. Is it to hear of tuna being caught so close to home this early? The season is going to be amazing. I love the positive fishing from Current Jam. Positive thought
Yep.
about fishing. It's good stuff. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're getting there. And that Baja information, I don't know if you heard that or not, Current Jam, but a fish caught out of Popotla today on a panga, and then another fish down in San Quintin, which is 140 miles down. We've had fish off Ensenada. We've had fish out on the Outer Banks. Not a lot, Danny, but shoot, it's January, man. We haven't even done the Super
January.
Bowl yet.
That's right. And you know what? That's not even assessing. Are these fish? A lot of these fish in the wintertime have got their noses down in the mud, either eating squid or something down deep. They don't need to even surface. And
Right.
There's a lot of years they may be out there. We just don't know it because we're not fishing it. We're not covering it.
Yes. I made the point also. We had, I think, 2 or 3 boats. I think it was 2 boats out looking for that bluefin. That's a hard task for 2 guys
That's a big
to
ocean.
run it down, right?
That's a humongous ocean for
Yeah.
2 boats. Yeah. So when you get a fleet on them, it really does help.
Yep.
It really does help.
All right, we got time for a few more questions. And Calico Chris Rank is here. Chris, it's good to see you, my friend, sending me that awesome video of a Dorado down in Newport Beach when you were on the Balboa Pier the other day. What a great day. Hope you're feeling better. Some good stuff you're spitting there, Danny. He's loving the show, man. David Bretoy, Hey, David, good to see you. Man, he's just back from the Philippines. Hope all is well with you, Phil and Danny. David, good to see you. I'm jealous. I love the Philippines. I had a great time hanging out there. Man, that was the best. I stayed in a really nice place like my first night. And, man, I'll tell you, Danny, it was just too nice for me. I went out and started looking for hammocks and, staying with
Stay
a
with the
family.
locals,
I wanted to kind of
Well, that's where you
experience all that.
Sure.
Yeah, so that was
Sure,
good.
I get that. I like that.
Danny, we zoomed through an hour here. It's time to say goodbye, believe it or
All
not.
right.
You want me to do another over and under?
Sure.
Do you think Dan can sign us out of this show? The over under will be 20 seconds. But hold on, Dan. Don't do it yet. Hit that like button, everybody. Danny Kadota Show here. We'll let you know in the morning briefing when Danny is going to be at the Hall Show, which starts Thursday and runs through Sunday. We'll definitely let you know about that. There's an X up in one of the corners that you're going to hit that X, Dan. And then there's going to be something else that will prompt you. I think he's going to get this.
Yeah,
But-
look at him. He looks serious.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you
Man.
started it, Dan.
Concentrate.
I should turn the camera around on him. It was the under tonight, the 6 number for our friend Michael Limon. He ended up with 2 fish, unless he runs in here with one more
With a
fish.
stringer.
6 p.m. tonight, Tackle Shop Confessions, giving away 2 fishing rods. Danny, you want to say anything to your fans out there?
Hey, thank you for tuning in, folks. See you next week.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Dan, it's up to you.